Mary was real, and she actually did have a little lamb. Mary Sawyer, an 11-year-old girl in Boston, was followed to school one day in 1817 by her pet lamb. And she remembered that lamb her entire life. The hand-reared lamb had little affection for its fellow sheep. It preferred horses and cows as companions. But above all, the sheep loved Mary. Mary and her brother Nat began to make their way to school one morning, and the little lamb, who was deeply attached to Mary, began to follow. Because the lamb was hand-reared, its attachment to Mary was similar to that of a lamb to its own mother. As the lamb happily bounded through the field chasing Mary and her brother Nat, Nat turned to her and made the subtle suggestion that they actually take the lamb to school. As legend goes, Mary agreed, and off they went. When they got to school, Mary tucked the lamb into a little blanket snugged warm by her feet, and all was well. No one suspected the lamb that was there until it let out a bleat. Surprised, the teacher began to laugh at the discovery and quickly moved the lamb outside. Mary was told to take the lamb back home during lunch. Now, a new student to the class, John Rulestone, saw everything happen that day and allegedly gave Mary the now world-famous poem that he wrote about the events. Mary had a little lamb. Its fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go. It followed her to school one day, which was against the rule. It made the children laugh and play to see a lamb at school. And so the teacher turned it out, but it still lingered near and waited patiently about till Mary did appear. But this would not be a New England story without controversy. Sarah Josepha Hale had wrote and published Mary's Lamb in 1830, 13 years later. In her version of Mary Had a Little Lamb, she included 3 additional stanzas, and she added a moral lesson to the tale. Debate still exists as to if the young John Rulestone actually penned the poem as Mary remembered the events, or if Sarah Hale wrote the poem 13 years later. It's a mystery rivaling the popularity of Lizzie Borden, but that's an interesting story for another time. Mary's mother knew how much Mary loved the little lamb, and she knit Mary stockings out of the lamb's wool. Mary treasured those stockings with all her life. Later in life, when Mary was an older woman living in Somerville, Massachusetts, preservationists started raising money to save an old meeting house in town. Mary donated the wool from her stockings for the fundraising efforts. Volunteers picked apart the stockings thread by thread, and they attached the wool to cards that said, "Knitted wool from the first fleece of Mary's little lamb." Do you know what you call a lamb covered in chocolate? A candy bar. These are interesting things with JC.